trusting Kodak, except with their... Hi, I'm Yeager from Carolina's Photography and the Carolina's Photography Podcast. Stick around after the title sequence, and I'll tell you my thoughts and a whole lot more about Kodak and a few other things on the Carolina's Photography Podcast, episode number 9. Hello, my name is Yeager Yancey Tedder for the Carolina's Photography Podcast. This is episode number 9, and I hope you are all having a great, happy holiday season. And real quick, I just want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast so far. If this is the first time you're joining us, think of this more as a open blog and a more personal thing. CarolinaPhotography.net. It's not a news site. It's a place where you go to check out our prices, products, and maybe get a couple of editorials here and there on the world of photography. Same with this podcast. It's just an extension of that, so nothing super formal here. As I said before, I am Yeager, photographer for CarolinaPhotography.net and Carolina's Photography, I guess say umbrella of things with our different stuff, the YeagerShots.com, another website you should check out, which is even more of a personal blog because my name's in it, so... well, what can I say? But if you're joining us, stick around. We're going to talk about Kodak for just a real quick thing. This is how the format goes. It's pretty free-flowing. Kodak will be spoken about. We'll go into our ad campaign just a tad bit. I'll touch on that, as well as how you can contact me on our new email, carolinasphotography@gmail.com, and a few other things. But basically, we'll go ahead and kick things off with Kodak. Nothing based on any super in-depth analysis, but the Kodak cameras, they're digital cameras, they're point and shoots that a lot of people just put right in their pocket. It keeps coming up. I hear about it, and I have a lot of friends who have point and shoot Kodaks, almost any kind, and they're going with the name in Kodak. And I started thinking about this one day, and I do trust in the name Kodak. I've used Kodak Gold film for the longest time. I've gone out and used their paper to print on. Still do to this day. Carolina's Photography comes on high stock Kodak paper. If you get prints done from us in pretty much every size imaginable. And I started thinking about it one day, and I just kind of realized that Kodak did not make the transition to digital very well. And when I say they didn't make the transition to digital very well, I'm talking about their cameras. All of their cameras, and don't just listen to me. If you look at the overall average user ratings and test scores across the board, Kodak cameras tend to be at the very bottom of the totem pole in terms of picture quality and customer satisfaction. And I really, don't want to speculate, but it just seems like I can trust in Kodak with everything except their digital cameras. And it's really unfortunate. Kodak is the biggest name, or was up until the digital age in the early part of the decade, the early part of the aughts. They were like the biggest name in the photography biz, but now their digital cameras have been gone kind of lacking. And I don't tell anyone to ever go with a digital camera from Kodak under that brand. Film, yes, the Kodak Gold film series I'm in love with. I always thought it had a little bit cleaner look to it over Fuji and Agfa, even though it really was splitting hairs. And truth be told, if you held any of them up on a print in front of me, I probably couldn't tell the difference. But I just always really like using their film. Still use their paper, nothing wrong with that. But I just have no idea what's going on with Kodak in the digital realm. Their image processor and technology, and as I always preach over and over, if anyone's listened to the show before, do not get hung up on the megapixels. This is a cheap, quick selling point. There's other things in favor of a camera besides just having high megapixels. There can be a 4 megapixel camera that outshoots a 10 megapixel camera. Absolutely. Fact. It's almost like saying, okay, you got 300 horsepower in a car and a truck. Two very different reasons. The truck probably, in most cases, won't outrun a car with 300 horsepower that's built for speed. There's other things helping out, aerodynamics, yada, yada, yada. This is not the Car and Driver podcast. This is CarolinaPhotography.net podcast. Nice way to try to segue into saying the name over and over, Carolina's Photography. But, the Kodak thing is just, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm sure they were never really super built for the the digital age, being a film thing, but hey, them seems to be the breaks as far as Kodak goes. But moving on, I just want to touch real quick on our new ad campaign that's going on in the PD area on the radio, 103 ATS, Sunny 105.5, The Flow 102.9. The Carolinas Photography podcast, not podcast, but the Carolinas Photography ad campaigns kicked off with our Nancy Jessie ad campaign. And it's kind of split down the middle. Some people like it, some people hate it. So the business reason that we pulled the ads, as some people might know, we're going to retool it, hit the reset button, and try to go with something that has a whole heck of a lot less story to it, and something that hopefully won't lose people as much. We know, I'm fully aware, obviously I love the Nancy Jessie stuff. I wrote the freaking thing. Me and my good friend Mandy Acock, she's worked on it. We've told over all this stuff, but for reasons that make sense, we're going to retool the thing. And it's the first time we've ever dealt in radio advertising. We've dealt with TV a good bit, but we've never dealt with the whole radio side of things. So we're learning that medium. So we're going to retool it. Thanks to everybody who loves this stuff. And by the way, Nancy Jessie's not dead, okay? Trust me on that. And, we always try to swing for the fences whenever we're doing things with Carolinas Photography and the Jaeger Shot stuff. So if it doesn't work this time, we'll reset things, get it straight. It'll work out. We won't throw the baby and bathwater out at the same time, okay? So we'll just keep hitting at it. And who knows, if the Nancy Jessie thing comes back as a hit later, then hey, who was right? Who was wrong? Not to get too crazy cynical here, but when things work, so many folks line up to take credit when they don't work. It's just blaming, pointing fingers, but hey, it's just a business thing. What can I say? The podcast hits. I want to thank everyone for listening. I don't trust the Podomatic whatsoever, even though we're broadcasting there, and I have it listed on the ad for the website, podomatic.com, where you can find us. Search for us, Carolinas Photography. Only because they put us on a movers and shakers list early December, the CarolinesPhotography.net podcast it is. And it just, to me, seems like they're only trying to get some custom packages, like you can buy in for more storage space, come out the pocket, starting at like almost $100 for some of their stuff. That's like the exact total, but that's almost what it comes out to be. It almost seems like they're trying to almost trick their free users into using it, because I was locked out of our personal account on Podomatic for the longest time. I know this isn't really going into the photography Kodak thing, but I feel like I want to touch on the Podomatic thing. Whatever happens, so be it. There's 101 other podcast uploading sites, but I am aware of hits and subscribers. Thanks for listening. If you ever want to contact the show, ask me a question, anything at all. It could be photography related. And if you've ever listened to the Jaeger Shots podcast, it's kind of more mature. I'll talk about anything. Hit me up, carolinasphotography@gmail.com. That's Carolinas with S on the end of Carolina at gmail.com. And I want to give a quick shout out to Eric and Amy Clark real quick, who just had their first boy, Elijah Robert Clark, who me and him will share the same birthday forever, December the 17th. And I want to thank my niece and nephew, Kirsten and Jacob Stone, for their well wishes on my birthday. They even made me little cards. Oh, it just makes you want to cry. And I'm sure you can check I'm not sure which podcast episode it was, but Jacob and Kirsten or the Kids on the Bridge. You can check that out. It's on CarolinesPhotography.net on our podcast. Old covers, as well as I'm sure I'll try to sneak Eli in there somewhere. His parents, Amy and Eric, are on my wedding page. So happy birthday to him forever, and thanks to Jacob and Kirsten for the well wishes for their Uncle Jaeger. So on the next podcast, I have no clue what'll happen, but I hope that you I'm getting tongue tied over here. Sorry, it's been one of those days, ad campaigns and things going awry, yada yada. But happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for listening to Carolinas Photography podcast. Some more in-depth discussion, hit it up on the boards on CarolinesPhotography.net. And as my new phrase will be, I will speak with you all later on in life.